Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm delighted to be with you today. And I just want to thank my good friend Dave for inviting me up here. And for over a decade, I've been walking through Europe, mostly because I couldn't afford a plane at the time, talking to customers about moving from traditional enterprise software into cloud computing. And I'm just delighted to have a partner like Dave who's doing the same thing. And he can actually afford a plane, which is fantastic now. And so they've got Google Air. So look, it's an exciting time in our industry. Things are changing. Things are really moving forward. And we're all part of that. That's why we're all here. And this is a time when we can make new decisions because the economy and the environment is forcing us to. That's just the reality of where we are today. And more than ever, what we're seeing is that the technology is really viable. Now, before I start, I know I heard already from some of our customers while I was sitting here, like my friend over there from Telegraph and also our friend from Genentech. Who else here is a Salesforce.com customer already? Can you raise your hand if you're using Salesforce.com? Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So, a lot of prospects. I like that. Makes me very happy. My presentation is exactly 30 minutes. And for the next 13 minutes, I'm going to just give you a few slides. And then I actually want to jump right into the demo, if that's all right with you, and the technology, and actually show you how the rubber hits the road. And let me just jump into our presentation. Our company is called Salesforce.com. It is over 10 years old, and the fundamental premise that I want to talk to you today is the real-time cloud. You've been talking about that already. The reality is that in the new world, customers don't want things in batch. A lot of us know that word from our past. I was at Oracle for 13 years before starting Salesforce a decade ago, so we know the word batch, or even any type of a delay is not appropriate anymore for a customer when you see things like that are happening on Google or Twitter, or users are watching things on their Facebook feeds. Things are happening in real time. They expect that in the enterprise today. This is our safe harbor statement. We're also a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange under CRM, and it covers today's presentation. And if you don't have time to read it, you can check it on our website. There it goes. Okay. There is a change underway. When I was at Oracle for 13 years and I was coming through Europe, the fundamental message was very, very simple, and that was it's time to move from the mainframe and on to client-server computing. And for on and on and on, we just hit that message over and over again that the IBM mainframe, the DEC mini computer, HP mini computers, Data General, that we could do it cheaper, we could do it easier, we could do it lower cost. The technology is moving forward. Okay, that is Moore's Law. You're going to hear about that from Mr. Jeff Moore, not the Moore's Law. He has his own laws. Unfortunately, the brand was already taken. He's very upset about that, but you're going to hear about the technology curve, which is certainly his law, which is absolutely fantastic. Technology is always getting lower cost and easier to use. That is a truth. So are we riding this technology continuum, or are we not riding this technology continuum? That is the question for every one of us in this room. Because if you're not riding this technology continuum, your competitor is. Because they have to do things at a lower cost. They have to do things easier to use, and they have to be more competitive than you are. And so while we'll have to grab this kind of technology brass ring and run with it, and cloud computing is that brass ring today. That's been our message for now more than a decade, because the internet makes it possible. Now, what I've been mostly talking about when I've been coming to audiences here and throughout Europe, Asia, the United States, is applications are moving to the cloud. That's really where it started, and you've heard a lot about that here today. Mail, office automation, human resources, meetings, I'm sure a lot of you have done that as well, web analytics. Fundamentally, CRM, fundamental applications are moving to the cloud. That's been the message, and that's been exciting, that's powerful. But there's another key message, and this is also very exciting, and Google is also part of this critical trend as well, and that is that platforms are moving to the cloud. The fundamental operating system, the fundamental way that we build applications is going to change. It's not being covered really in detail in it today, but whether it's Google App Engine or whether it's Amazon EC2, you heard from Werner earlier today, IBM, Facebook with their platform, Windows, Azure, and we have one as well called Force.com for building enterprise quality applications. Platforms are moving to the cloud. So these two forces together, applications moving to the cloud and platforms moving to the cloud, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is really a sea change. This is the cloud computing model. And the power is that these things are three things. Multi-tenant, that is in all the things you heard about from Paul and his use at Telegraph or onto these systems from Google. Multi-tenant, it's like an office building. It's like an apartment building. It's multi-tenant, it's shared. It's a shared system. That's not how it is with SAP, right, or Oracle, or even really Microsoft. You own it, you control it, you have it, but that's not as low a cost and not as efficient model. I'm going to get to that point in a second. So these are multi-tenant systems. You pay as you go. It's not some big license up front. It's not what you're basically, taking on the risk up front where you get the CD and where you sign the license agreement and then maybe never see the sales rep again. But we have some of those sales reps too, I'm sure, like everybody does. But the reality is you pay as you go. It's a subscription. So we will be back because we're monitoring, are you using the product or are you not using the product? It's a marriage. It's not a one-night stand. And that is the power of this model. And it's elastic. If your company isn't doing as well, you can reduce your usage. If your company is doing better, you can increase your usage. When you choose a client-server environment, like an SAP system, it's a fixed price. You're paying a license fee, and then you pay 22% for Infinity, I think, is how I think that's their business model. Okay, we have a different model. And that model ends up being a lot faster. IDC says 5 to 9 times faster, and a lot cheaper. And I'm sure Google will show you the numbers too, but better actually to talk to the customers who are here, who have deployed these systems, and you'll hear that they're dramatically cheaper than these other these alternatives. We were the first cloud company to go over $1 billion in enterprise revenue. We'll do about approximately $1.3 billion this year in revenue. We'll grow even in this economy this year about 20%, which has been very strong. For us, we're the fastest growing enterprise software company in the world. We still are today. And we have a strong growth in new customers. We have over 63,200 customers, enterprises around the world using our product. In fact, we've grown them 32% year over year. This year, 32% growth in customer. It really speaks to, in this environment, when Oracle and SAP have shrunk 20% this year in license revenue, we grew our customers 32%. And the reason why is you need alternatives. So when we look at our big deployments, whether it's companies like Dell, where we have 80,000 users, or companies like the Japan Post, where we have over 90,000 users, or Citibank, or Cisco. I see a former Cisco executive here hiding in another company now, where we have 50,000 users, and on and on and on, no matter where it is in the world, whether it's in the Asia theater or the European theater here or in the United States theater, we've been able to show the largest and most important companies in the world can be successful with cloud computing. And this is really the power of the model. But there's another power in this model as well. Let me ask you, ladies and gentlemen, how many, for the customers here, and I don't know this in advance, so I could be a little bit wrong, how many, for the customers here, raise your hand if you have less than 1,500 employees. Will you raise your hand if you have less than 1,500 employees? And how many of you have more than 1,500 employees? And how many of you don't know how many employees you have? Okay, one of the great things about the cloud computing model is that it's very democratic. That is, whether you're a small company, a medium company, or a large company, you're using the same piece of code. Google doesn't have a version for like the top companies, that you run in-house, and then another one for small business, and another for medium. And that's why they can mix small companies into this audience and large companies in this audience. That's a powerful new idea, a very important and exciting new idea for enterprise computing. And we've been broadly recognized for this technology and business model, of course. We also do a big philanthropic program, which I want to just tell you about. But we took 1% of our equity, 1% of our profit, 1% of our time, put it into a public foundation when we started the company. Very easy because we didn't have any equity, we had no profit, and we had no time. But now we are a big company, and we will do 150,000 hours of community service this year. We run over 6,000 nonprofits and NGOs for free. And if you work with NPOs or NGOs in your territories, we will let them have our products for no charge. And we've given away over $14 million in grants. And I'm happy to say that when Google filed their S1, they actually copied our 111 program. Larry and Sergey picked it up and started Google's foundation. I'm very proud of them in adopting this model as well, and I thank them for that. And you'll read about that actually in this book, Behind the Cloud. We have a whole chapter on how to build philanthropy into your company, and each chapter is a different chapter of how to build a cloud computing company, function by function. A chapter on marketing, a chapter on sales, a chapter on distribution, a chapter on accounting, et cetera. It's a book for entrepreneurs and for business folks who are trying to understand this model. Now, I just want to briefly talk about our architecture and our product, and then I want to move into the demonstration. We have a three-layer architecture, 3 tiers. The primary tier is our infrastructure. This is our scalability, reliability, availability, security. For each of you, I invite you to come into our offices. We will bring you through our data centers. We will do code reviews with you. We'll do security reviews with you. Send us your security teams. We do this with the largest banks and high-tech and largest companies in the world. We do security reviews of all of our systems. We'll do them of your systems as well. We have a lot of best practices. We probably know more about security than almost any other vendor. The reason why is because of this kind of wonderful, virtuous cycle of having our large customers, when Citibank comes and sees us to make sure our systems are as safe as theirs, we have the benefit of thousands of companies pouring through, and we've been able to tune our security, our reliability. We delivered 5 nines of reliability in the last quarter, scalability, speed, less than 300 milliseconds. We delivered approximately 15 billion transactions, database transactions, to our customers in the last quarter at less than 300 milliseconds at 5 nines of reliability. All of that data is public. You can go to trust.salesforce.com. You see in real time the status of all of our servers. You see the speed of all of our servers, the performance of all of our servers. If we have any security situations, either in the present or in the past, they are listed. And we do all of that in a fully transparent environment. And we think that's a key and critical part of being a cloud provider, is offering this trust service. So check it out yourself at trust.salesforce.com. We're constantly doing upgrades and updates in real time, just like Google is. More than half of the transactions we do are integration transactions with SAP, with Oracle, with other enterprise systems. Half of the things that we do for customers are their legacy or their ERP or their MRP systems calling us for information. We have sandbox environments for offline development and offline customization that then get redeployed into production environments. We have the ability to have private tunnels between tenants of our systems, and we have 3 major global data centers all integrated with disaster recovery that all happen in real time. On top of that, we provide a complete application development and deployment platform so you can build any application yourself. If you don't like the application we have and you want to build vendor relationship management, you want to build an application, well, we just built that application actually for a really amazing company called Dell, Vendor Relationship Management. They already did. They manage their patents with us. They manage their NDAs with us. They use this layer to build highly custom applications. We're currently building their supply chain system. You're going to see some things that we're doing today for their customer service system. But you can build any application. You can even build a website on this layer, public website. In fact, you probably saw that we just built 2 very high volume websites, but one of them for Starbucks, which is their highest volume website of all time, built natively on our platform. They're able to build it very, very fast, and then instant deployment with our RAS, all of our security, everything built in. So if you're building a new app or you're going to do an application rationalization, talk to us about how you can use this platform for building highly customized systems, and this is called Force.com. Extremely exciting. And on top of this, not only can you have your own custom private cloud, but you can also use our namesake Salesforce automation system, or you can use our new customer service environment. And that's what I want to briefly give you a demonstration of now. And as I said, you can have your own private cloud or custom cloud using all of these key modules. All of it runs on only 1,500 Dell PCs. 63,000 customers, 15 billion transactions, less than 300 milliseconds per transaction, 5 nines of reliability, implementations of 100,000 users at Japan Post and below on 1,500 PCs worldwide. A little bit of an example of what a scam traditional enterprise software and hardware is. As CIOs, you probably know what your utilization rates of your hardware and software and all of your data centers worldwide and kind of the capacity that you maintain that you never use. These shared systems are just much more efficient. It's just better. And that's why when you get to Jeff Moore's presentation, when he's talking about that technology curve, this is riding that technology curve. Want to talk to you just briefly about the Service Cloud and move into our demonstration. Problem with customer service call center, very simple. Contact centers over here, your agents answering phones. How many people here have contact centers, call centers? Raise your hands. How many people here have customer portals where customers are contacting you online to get questions? The problem is your systems don't get connected. Customers aren't getting your information, they're getting somebody else's information. Big change, big bifurcation. So we created a new product called Service Cloud 2, which basically gives you knowledge base on demand, call center on demand, email, chat, a customer portal, websites, communities, integration with Twitter, with Facebook, integration with Google Search, which we're going to show you, and full custom application, custom development, all in the system. So I wanted to invite up on stage here Tim Barker. Come on up, Tim. And Jaeger McConnell, who works with me in our San Francisco headquarters. Come on up, please welcome them. Tim and Jaeger, thanks. Come on up. And we're going to give you a quick overview of what a contact call center system looks like in the cloud. And I think the demonstration today is going to revolve around one of our customers. Tim?
Right, yeah, we're going to tell you about Dell. You know, we heard this morning about how there's a transition. You know, we may not be using Facebook and Twitter, but our kids are, our customers are. And so for organizations, how do you transition? How do you make your existing business more productive using cloud computing? And how do you respond to those new channels that your customers expect you to be on? Facebook, Twitter, or online communities. So in this demonstration, we're going to give you an example of how Dell can run their customer service business in the cloud on our Service Cloud 2 product. So let's start with the call center agent, the customer service agent. We've logged in and we can see here what the application looks like for a customer service agent. Across the top, we have all the channels that they use to provide service: phone, email, chat, and then new channels like Twitter and Facebook. But you know, let's start with the traditional channel. What happens when a call comes into the contact center? Okay, the cloud can integrate. It can integrate into your telephony infrastructure. So I get a screen pop. I know who I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to Carol White, and I can see all the information from the CRM system, where she's located, which product she's purchased, every interaction our company has had with her. So we start speaking to Carol, and Carol tells us she's upgraded to Windows 7, but she needs to buy more memory. So we're going to go in and we're going to log a case to answer that question. This is something that customer service agents do. Now, normally they would then go off into another system, start searching a knowledge base. But the knowledge base is at the heart of our Service Cloud. So with one click, I can start searching the thousands of articles that Dell have to find the right one, the most relevant one, to help answer the question. Now, we've customized this to Dell's business process. So down the left-hand side, we have filters, so we can narrow this down further just to look for information for home users or just for laptops. We're doing this all in real time, and once we've got that, we can click through. Let's take a look at the article. So your knowledge experts can use a online authoring tool. They can go ahead and create these knowledge articles, but they can be structured to Dell's business. So they can have procedures, compatibility information. So I've got the answer, I just need to get that back. So I could give the answer over the phone, but most likely I'll attach it back to the case, and then I'll send that out through an email. And again, I can do that with one click, then we record the interaction, and the case is closed. But more and more, your customers want self-service. They don't want to call the contact center. And for you, it's a lot cheaper if you serve them through the web. So let's take a look at how with cloud computing, you can provide that same information over a self-service portal. So here we've logged in as a customer. I can see my product information that I've purchased. I can see promotions. But importantly, I can go ahead and log cases or search for knowledge.
Tim, can we just point out this is obviously looking like Dell's website, and we've built lots of websites for Dell. But as you see, and as we drill down into the website, you'll see this is actually our Force.com service delivering websites directly out of our servers. And you'll see all of these coming out directly out of our production servers from the URL.
Exactly. Great point. There's no copying of data between systems. There's no scripts that are running on web servers. This is all being served out live in real time from the Service Cloud, but with a user interface tailored to how Dell wants it to look. So with that, I can get to that same information as a self-service customer through the portal. I can get to the same article, and I haven't had to call. You've probably you've had a 15 times ROI because it's much cheaper to deliver that over the web. But for me, and probably for many of you, when I've got a question, I go to Google because Google will give us the right answer. So how do you support that? Well, with the Service Cloud, you haven't got your information locked into your knowledge base behind the four walls of your company. You can start to expose some or all of that onto the public internet. So let's show you. Let's do a search for how do I upgrade the memory on my XPS laptop. And the first result I get in the organic search results takes me into a public knowledge base. So I can start to expose parts of my knowledge directly out onto the internet. And this uses that technology that Mark mentioned. We call it Force.com sites. Not only can you use it to expose an application like a knowledge base, but you can use it to run an entire website over our cloud platform. And that's what we've got here. We've got the Dell website running 100% in the cloud. And we're going to come back to this because what we're going to do is show you how it makes it so much easier using Service Cloud to respond to business changes. So you may have seen recently that Dell launched a new range of netbook computers called Dell Minis. What we show you is how an administrator could go in through the web and start adding knowledge articles into their knowledge base about those netbook computers. So let's go ahead and add a new category for netbook computers. The cool thing here is that when I save this and publish it out, it's going to go to every channel that I'm providing service through. So the call center, the website, Google search, and any other channels that we're using are immediately going to start seeing information. So if we do a refresh of that homepage, we've now got in real time, in that section here, a new section called Netbooks. So the opportunity here is that you can have your business connected and running and responding in real time across all those channels. Now this works great for those questions you get asked hundreds or thousands of times a year because you've got an answer in your knowledge base. But what about all those obscure questions, the ones that you might think of as the long tail of knowledge? Well, consumer sites like Yahoo Answers and LinkedIn Answers have shown a much better way than using forums or discussion boards. They've shown an approach called crowdsourcing. It means that you can learn from the wisdom of all of the community of users to get the right answer. So we launched a product 2 weeks ago called Salesforce Answers. So let's show you how this works inside the Facebook community. Of course, you can run it as a standalone web application as well. So here we've got Tom Davis. Tom's just purchased a new Dell netbook, and he's got a question about it. So he, being on Facebook, can go into the Dell community. As you probably know, every company can create a community page on the Facebook site. So there's 250 million users out there that can access this. So you can see the wall, the info, and a new application called Answers. Let's click on that. And this is the place where Tom can communicate with other users of Dell products to ask his question. So we went in early. He's gone in and he's asked his question, how do I connect my Dell netbook up to my high-def TV? And already we've got 7 or 8 people that are starting to provide different answers to him. And the nice thing about this crowdsourcing model is not just that you get 8 answers, but the community can vote on what they think is the best. And in Facebook, you do that by liking it. So I can go ahead, try this thing that Steve has posted, and if it works for me, with one click, I can vote it up.
And just for a second, again, I'm sorry to disturb you, Tim. Actually, I'm not that sorry, but here's the thing. This page looks like it's in Facebook, right? This is not. This is coming out of our server also. So whether it's coming out of the website, whether it's that HTML page you saw, whether it's in Facebook, this is all coming out of our server. And because it's all coming out of our server, it's all a view into one common database, which is the key point of the knowledge management system that Tim was talking about. So this is extremely powerful because you're actually in control on a Facebook, which seems like a foreign environment to most corporations.
Yeah, that's a good point. So that's 2 strikes I've had. One more and I'm off. So you're right, totally right, that this is all running on the Service Cloud, delivered through a Facebook channel. So we've had our question answered. We've never had to call your contact center. Let's go back and see what it looks like for the customer service agent. And as Mark said, because this runs all in the Service Cloud, I, as a service agent, have that same real-time view into all the questions, all the answers, all the votes. Let's drill into that question that Tom had. So I, as a service agent, could interact. I could post an answer to that question. Or, as we've done here, I can see what answers the community is giving. And now that I've had a look at it, I'm going to take that with one click, take that answer that Steve gave and bring it into our knowledge base. I'm going to expand our knowledge base based on information that the community has given us. And with that, I can then publish it out into all the other channels that we've got. So I can put it onto the website, into the contact center, etc. Now, we've had a lot of fun building this, and customers have asked us, though, the one thing that seems to have come up again and again is, how do I connect my customer service team to Twitter? So how many of you have Twitter accounts? Hands up? Wow, that's a lot. So as you all know, every time you post any information on Twitter, you complain about a product, you ask a question, the whole internet can see it. In fact, Google even searches it, so other people that don't use Twitter will find it. So what we've done is integrate the Service Cloud into Twitter. So let's take a look and show you how we can provide service through that channel. What you're seeing here is the live Twitter site. And I'm going to pray that we don't get the fail whale. This is Dan Buckley's Twitter page. And Dan's got a question for Dell. And Dell have set up a Twitter channel so that anyone can ask a question to their customer service team. So Dan's going to ask, how do I connect my Dell netbook up to my high-def TV? Now that I've posted that, anyone that follows Dan can see it. Anyone that searches Twitter can find it. And what we're doing is, we'll route that through from Twitter into the Service Cloud directly to the team that handles netbooks. So let's switch across and we'll show you what it looks like for the Dell service agent. So here, I'll have a whole list of all of the tweets that have come in. You know, people asking for advice on what product they should purchase. Someone's had their keyboard eaten by their dog. And what we can do is we can narrow that down and just look at tweets to do with netbooks. There it is. This came in 20 seconds ago. This is all running live. And it's already created a case to follow up with it. So let's go in and respond to this case. Now, this will look familiar. It's similar to the screen we started with, but the source of this case is Twitter, as opposed to the phone. So again, with one click, I can go ahead, search the knowledge base, get the answer that I need. And again, I can narrow that back down to the thing that I'm looking for. Now, the thing that's different, obviously, here is I can't call Dan up, I can't email him, but I can tweet back a reply. And that's how this works. I can attach that back up to the case, and then with one click, I can tweet that reply back. Now, you only have 140 characters, obviously, so what we can do is we'll automatically create a link where he can go to get his full solution to his problem. Great, so the case is closed, we can move on. Let's just go back and do a refresh on the live Twitter site. There it is. In real time, we provided customer service, and let's click the link. We'll see where it takes us. It's going to take us out into that knowledge base, the public one that's running on our cloud computing platform. So we think what we've shown you hopefully shows you what we think is the future of customer service. It's not just about delivering that information through the traditional call center, but it's going where your customers are, going online, going through Google, going through Facebook, going through Twitter. That's the all-encompassing vision of Service Cloud 2, all delivered from one knowledge base. So hopefully that gives you a view of what we've been up to. I'll take that back to you, Mark.
Good job, Tim. Thank you so much. And Jaeger, We have a lot of non-English speakers here. I think we have quite a few Japanese speakers in the audience. So will you just convert the whole demo? He's just going to choose our sales app, and we just convert the whole thing to Japanese for us. So everything you have seen runs in our 17 languages that we have as well. And I wanted to show that to you. And then while you're seeing that, I was sitting next to Paul here, who kept saying to me, oh, we do that, we do that, we do that. Paul has deployed our Sales Cloud. He's deployed our Service Cloud. He's built 3 custom applications on Force.com. He's also used our Ideas system that Starbucks and Dell and others and Paul uses. And he's also working now with FinancialForce.com, which is our new joint venture with Coda, which is a software company here in Europe, to put his general ledger, payables, and receivables on this system. And I thought you'd like to just hear just briefly from Paul. So, Paul, would you just tell them just brief? Oh, I didn't mention that. No, so welcome to the presentation, Paul.
Dangerous sitting here, I think.
Yeah, thank you for sitting next to me.
No problem.
Will you just tell us what you're doing?
Sure. So we began a year ago, actually, when we had to overhaul our contact center. It was running off an old legacy COBOL system. So we sifted the market and chose Salesforce. And off the back of that, we've really spread our wings a little bit more by taking the application, putting the customer portal on the front end. So if you're a newspaper subscriber with us, you can manage your subscription online through the customer portal that was demoed just then. And then we've utilized ideas, so staff suggestions internally. If you've got an idea, you submit it and you can vote it up or down. And there's a great debate internally around that. So the agility we've managed to get off the back of not just putting the SaaS application in, but actually embracing the platform as well has been tremendous. So
thank you very much. And that's an impromptu part of our presentation. I just want to thank all of you. I want to thank Jaeger. I want to thank Tim. I want to thank Paul for the presentation. And enjoy the conference, everybody. Thank you.